Hi everybody, I am Claudio Devecchi, and in this demo I'm going to show you how we can be fast in our REST API development. This is the GitHub API Pub documentation page, and here we have all the instructions we need to set up. The first step is to make sure that we have both IRIS API Pub and Swagger UI installed in our machine. Now we can go ahead. Now in Visual Studio Code, let's set our goal. I prepare a class for you with many methods. I've chosen methods you are probably familiar with. For example, these top 3 methods here are CRUD methods that performs insert, update, read, and delete operation in a central class called product. They are followed by a method that performs an SQL statement and return a list of objects for the same class. And then we have almost the same, but as a response we have a dynamic object. The next one is very important because this method is the only method we have in this class that calls a business component called price list, and this business component is calling 2 different business operations. Then we have a division method, a math method. At the end we have helper methods that uploads and downloads a binary content. Our challenge here is to expose all of these methods as REST APIs. And more than that, we want to expose it using OpenAPI documentation and provide the best user experience we can. Let's see how we can do that. Back to GitHub documentation page, we scroll down and find a section called Wizard. We are going to click in this link here, and what we see here, it's a Swagger page with many options. I don't want to spend time explaining all of them. What I want to do is to choose the second option. This option is going to streamline the web application creation and the intermediate class that holds behavior params of our APIs. Now I'm going to fill out all of these properties. The first name is the name of our API. The second name is the name of our module. This class doesn't exist yet, and I'm gonna fill with the same name plus module. Here's the title. I'm gonna put a description. Monitoring group. Here's the API path. It is very important. Fast API. And here is my OpenAPI specification path. Fast API / OpenAPI spec. I'm gonna turn on the last param. Okay, we're done. So now we can execute this. Scrolling down, at the end of the response, we have a link here. Let's copy this link. In a new window, I'm gonna paste it. Okay, this is the link of my OpenAPI specification, but what we can't see anything here. Let's go back to Studio. Back to our class in Studio, an important step we need to do now is tag the methods we want to expose as an API. And we are going to use the web method attribute. Let's tag all of them. Now let's save this class and go back to the Swagger page. You need to click at this button, and here we go. We have all of our methods as APIs. Now we are ready to test any API. Let's do it. Let's create a product. is working, as you can see. Now I would like to highlight something about the schema. Notice that we have the complete schema of our class here. It happens because these classes are already JSON or XML adapter. Let's try to the second. As you can see, everything is working. What we need now is to improve the custom experience. We can change paths, verbs, tags, and we can complement the parameter descriptions and etc. Check it out in how you can do that in the GitHub documentation page. Now, what we're gonna do is customize some aspects of our APIs without changing any code of our implementation. We're gonna use a specific notation on top of our method. For example, in this first method, I'm going to change the path and the tag. Let's change the path. Product. Get pub. Tag equals iris objects. So let's do the same for other methods. Let's save it. Open again the documentation page. Refresh. We have all APIs organized in groups. We have different paths. CRUD APIs are shared the same product path. Some query params are now path params. And in some APIs we have a detailed description about its params, like this one. So let's test again putting another product. Okay, now we have one more product. Now we are going to test the first SQL list. Stock 5. Okay, we have two products. Let's test now the dynamic list. The result, we have two products again. And finally, we have the last list from the business process component. Umbrella. Now we've got a list with different currencies. So let's upload now a binary file. My picture. Worked. Now let's try to see the image. Let's copy this path and paste it here. So everything is working as expected. The user experience is fine, and the most important, we didn't have too much effort to complete all of this. Another important API pub feature is the ability to import an OpenAPI specification file. This is what we call API first or spec first, which consists of someone designing the API even before its implementation. Let's download this JSON file. With the file already downloaded, we need to open the wizard again. Scrolling down, we're gonna see the API first group. Let's choose the first option and then fill out all of these properties. The first property is the name of our spec file. This is our monitoring group. This is the name of our class and our module. The next are my API path and my OpenAPI path. So let's do it. Scrolling down, we need to open our API class in Visual Studio. As we can see, the class generated by the wizard contains only method specification, but not the implementation. Although the payloads are all dynamic objects, we have the option to turn on parsing, like this one, because all the schemas are in the xdata block. Back to wizard again, let's copy this link and open in a new window. This is exactly the same of the original definition we imported, but now we are calling our IRIS API. Let's try this API. Let's change, for example, this property text. So let's see if it parses the payload. As you can see, even without the implementation, the parsing is working. In the last few topics, we talk a little about the module class. This is an important class because more than the name of my API class and the OpenAPI specification path, I can change the behavior of my API. For example, with this traceable parameter, we can monitor all requests and response of our APIs. When it's on, it persists then in a class. That's the base for a cube, and of course, we can use this cube data to build our own dashboard. When you install API Pub, you already have this dashboard. As you can see, we have many dashboards here. On the bottom, we have the last calls. On top left, we have all the API calls by API domain. This is another param of our module class. Here we can drill down and see all the calls by operation ID. And if you want, you can drill down one more level and see the HTTP requests and response. So let's click at the binoculars button. In the bottom level, we can click at the tracing button. So here you can see the complete HTTP request, and here complete HTTP response.